Okay, hello everybody and welcome back. This is our annual Foster Care Awareness Day, and as all the participants, both in person and virtual, can see, we are trying out a hybrid model. So we are here live at the Idaho State Capitol in the Lincoln Auditorium, but then we also are streaming live for our several hundred registrants from across the state of Idaho. So welcome everybody. I'm really excited for this panel presentation. So my job was just to get everybody's attention, especially on virtual, helping people unmute and start checking back in. But I'm going to turn it over to Kate Wilson to be our moderator and lead for the panel presentation. So Kate, why don't you take it away?
Well, thank you. Hello. And as she said, my name is Kate Wilson. I am a single adoptive and foster mom to currently 8 children. I adopted my 5 children in 2020, and then I'm fostering 3 sisters right now. I also am the founder of a nonprofit called Foster and Heart, a local nonprofit here in Boise. Our mission is to ignite the hearts of our community to foster and to meet the immediate needs of local foster children. We are in the process of opening a home for foster children in transition from when they're removed from biological family and placed in a foster family. Our goal is to help assist health and welfare to ensure a safe home is found for the kids immediately. This home will also help ensure that siblings are not separated and that kids are no longer sleeping in offices. Here is a little bit about my story and how I became passionate about foster care. I started my foster care journey about 4 years ago with the expectation I could help just one child. I've always had a heart for orphans and a desire to adopt since I was around 7 years old. I have also had a desire to foster since I was about 16, when a friend of mine lost her 2 children when they were removed to foster care. I had gotten caught up in a wrong crowd, and I wanted to help her, but I knew what the 2 little girls needed was to be placed in a safe and loving home while their mother got the help she needed. I've been involved in the foster care world for around 10 years, helping out at events for foster children and hosting training for prospective foster parents. I would always tell people, I'm going to foster one day. So in 2018, I decided it was time to stop waiting, and it was time to pursue that desire. There are over 443,000 children in foster care across the nation on any given day. I figured, again, I could just help one. Well, that one has turned into a few more. Over the last 4 years, I've had over 20 kids in my home. Today, I'm in a network of amazing single and married foster women who do incredible work to support the children's needs in their home, as well as support the biological families. We show up for appointments, visits, therapies. We're on the phone for hours to work out schedules. We rearrange our days to fit the needs of the kids in our home. And sometimes you will even find us in prisons to take our kids to visit their biological parents. We do it all because we love the kids that are in our homes. As foster parents, we work tirelessly to advocate for the needs of our children and advocate for their best interest. People say they could never do what we do because they'd get attached. And yes, I guarantee you will get attached. That is what you're supposed to do. It is inevitable. You can't help but get attached, and that is what they need you to do. Foster children need someone to put them first, not last, who are not afraid to get attached to them, who will give them their all because the world around them is falling apart. We are their safe place, while nothing around them makes sense. I've also heard people say foster parents do it for the money, which usually makes me laugh. In Idaho, we have one of the lowest foster care reimbursement rates in the nation. This may have been fine a few years ago, but in this booming economy, $3.95 a month just doesn't cut it anymore. If you want us to provide that excellent care, which we do, we go above and beyond. Be there for our kids' needs, show up for appointments, transport kids to visits, be with their biological families, and do whatever is needed for the children in our home. I just think $13 a day is not enough anymore. I know so many foster parents who go above and beyond for their kids in their home. We don't look at our own kids and our foster kids and see a difference. I don't ask for transportation for my kids to the doctor, and therefore I do not ask for transportation for my foster kids. I take them, I go with them, I support them. I take the time off work. I rearrange my schedule for whatever their needs are. We are on the front lines. We work 24/7, no days off. And we are the ones in the middle of the night getting up to comfort a scared child who just was removed from their family. And then we have to get up the next day and go to work. We go to work, and then our children who just came into our home have to go to daycare and experience another new person and a new environment. It can be very, very traumatic on them. We give our all. We cry when they cry. We work with biofamilies, caseworkers, supervisors, and teachers. The role of the foster parent never stops, and yet sometimes we feel the most unvalued. Our hearts are ripped out on a daily basis by the stories of what our kids have endured. As you brush their hair or you read them a book, they start to feel safe. And when they're safe, they open up and tell you about the life they had before they came into your home. I will never get used to it. Every child's story tears you up. You would be shocked at what's happening in our neighborhoods behind closed doors. I've had kids that had lived in storage units and kids that were put in dog cages. You hold them as they cry for their moms and dads. You help them draw pictures for their siblings because they miss them. And you squeeze them a little tighter when they ask questions that you don't have answers for. One of the biggest things that I am passionate about is fighting for siblings to stay together. Foster kids need people like us fighting to ensure that the only person or persons in the world who understands what they're going through is not taken away from them. Separation of siblings shouldn't happen because it is unfair and unjust to the kids. I watched this firsthand as my kids experienced the trauma of being separated from their siblings for 9 months. In August of 2018, I got the phone call that changed my life. I was asked to take a 2-year-old little girl, who is now my daughter, Navy. I was told she was part of a sibling group of 4, and that all the other children had been placed in separate homes. She was the last one that needed a home. Because sibling groups are so hard to place, they usually separate them. All of them were under the age of 3 at the time. To make a very long story short, 9 months later, not only did her 3 siblings move in with us, but their biological mother had had another baby, and the 4-month-old sister moved in with us. I mentioned to my caseworker, I said, there needs to be a home for siblings to go to immediately upon removal so they do not get separated. And she said to me, you should open one. And that is when Foster and Heart, my nonprofit, was born. There is a saying, when you see a need, you fill a need. Sometimes we wonder why things are not being done, and it's because we need to do them. Foster children are looked at as kids with issues, but I challenge you to see them as victorious. They have faced more and conquered more in their short little lives than most adults. They are strong, courageous, and children who have a bright future. They are valued, loved, and worthy of every ounce of effort we put into them, and so much more. I just want to thank everyone from the bottom of our hearts for everyone who's trying to improve the foster care world. These kids are incredible and deserve the best of the very best. And with your help, that's what we can give them. I will end with this, a quote by David Platt. We have learned that orphans or foster kids are easier to ignore before you know their names. They are easier to ignore before you see their faces. It is easier to pretend that they are not real before you hold them in your arms. But once you do, everything changes. Thank you. Well, I mentioned in here that I have a network of amazing foster moms. We have worked really hard here locally to just come together as foster parents and support each other and have a community not only for us, but for our kids in our homes. So this is all my friends, and we would like to also share, or they would like to share their stories too. So Nicole will be up first.
Hi, so I'm Nicole,
and I am married, and we have a total of 8 children in our home, biological, adopted, and foster. I'm going to piggyback off of what Kate was saying, and as far as when children come into our home, the need for childcare as well for parents who are working full-time, which is myself and my husband, which I really struggle with this. And I struggle because, sorry, I'm really emotional. These children oftentimes are taken from their families with invalid reasons, but, they're coming to myself and my husband, who we know can care and provide, but it doesn't make their experience any less traumatic. And so, if we get this call at 2:00 in the morning, we're placed with this child. Generally, ours have been younger cases, and so they're not in elementary school or higher yet. So they're needing to go into a daycare the following day while we are going to work, which they've never been to the daycare. So that's going to be another new face for them. So something that I struggle with is just the reimbursement rates is just in a place where we are not able to stay home with our children. And so the economy as well doesn't allow for a one person working in our household. And so, sorry, my struggle is that if we just had a little bit more to work with, I would be able to stay home, or my husband would be able to stay home with our children, and they don't have to see another new face that next following morning after we just struggled all night to calm them down, bathe them, feed them. And it's just, in the beginning, there's a lot of new faces, right? So there's us, the first point of contact, and then there's the new daycare provider, and then we have physical therapy, we have doctor's appointments that need to be made within 30 days. These children come into care. And there's just a series of people needing to be seen. They need to be seen. And it's just, again, new faces, a lot of traumatic experiences, and it's scary for them, and especially if they don't have a voice. And so that's where we step in, and we just need to use our voice to advocate for these children, to just try to give them the best of the best, really, because I don't really want to say there's a lot of great experience, being brought into care, but we do our best to provide a safe, loving home for them. And for me, that just looks like being with the one stable person that's going to be in their lives from when they come into foster care for however long they're with us and potentially are reunited.
Great job. This is Tanisha, and now she's going to share her experience also.
Hello, my name's Tanisha Monteith. My husband and I started foster care about 4 years ago. Something that kind of struck us when we started doing this process was we had just never heard, growing up, it was kind of crazy because I didn't know any foster kids. I didn't hear my church talking about foster care. I didn't know anyone who did foster care. So it was really an awareness issue, and I had no idea. It just, again, like, you don't know until you know, and you can't do anything until you know. But when my husband and we went to a 4th of July party and started talking to a couple who had been doing foster care, and they had just adopted their little girl out of it. And it just they opened our eyes to the need in our own backyard. And it shocked us. Again, we had no idea how many kids were coming into care every day. We had no idea that so many people needed help, and we were really clueless as to how we could offer our help. So after, talking about it, we really felt like we were called to step into the role of foster parents. And it was pretty terrifying. Because again, we just didn't know. And so we started just the process of doing our Pride classes and meeting people. But it's kind of same as Kate. Like, we kind of thought, like, all right, well, if we can help one kid, awesome. That's what we can do. We had 2 biological sons at the time. And so, yeah, we started, and it was an incredibly difficult process at first because we felt really isolated. We didn't at the time know anyone else really who had stepped into the role of foster care. And so, the first 3 months of us doing foster care was me having daily panic attacks and trying to overcome all the anxiety that I was now having. We were having kids come in with sexual abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, and I had no idea how to carry all of that and take care of the kids and my family. I had quit my job because I just knew myself, and I go there's no way I can do a job and get all these kids to their appointments and do all these things, because that's another thing that most people aren't really aware of is in those first 30 days, it's kind of a mad rush. These kids are coming in usually pretty haggard, so they haven't seen a doctor in a while, they haven't seen a dentist in a while, they haven't been checked out, they're going to their cares visits, they're doing all these things, and it's our responsibility as foster parents to get them there. And sometimes there's transport available, and sometimes, the social worker, our social workers have been amazing. But kind of as Nicole said, this is new for the kids. And so I'm not trying to treat my foster kids any differently than my biological kids. And it is the same issue of, I would never have someone else drive my kids to an appointment. I'm their comfort right now. I'm the one familiar face since they've been taken out of care. And I'm not trying to leave them, because we all know they're safe. Right. But they don't know that, their minds are just in chaos right now. And so, we've also really felt the burden of one income. So it does make it difficult, it makes it difficult to be everything that these kids need. But we love these kids, and it's been an amazing experience. But yeah, going back to that, for those first few months, I was kind of at this standstill of my husband going, we have got to figure out how to do this more sustainably, because we can't continue on. You can't have the second you put all those kids to bed, my wife is full-blown panic attack mode, and it was I didn't know what to do. And so I took it upon myself to, learn about anxiety, learn about how to deal with panic attacks. And I had to teach myself, I want to keep doing this. So I can't be falling apart. And so I learned how to get myself out of that. And it's been, I'm so glad we stuck with it. We've had, we adopted our 2-year-old this summer, and we are in the process of adopting a sibling set right now. And the state has been really awesome because they have always encouraged us. We've never felt pressure, to take on more than we can handle. But there is this pressure coming from every foster parent where, okay, I feel like I only have room for one, but here's this sibling set. Can I parent 5 children well? Because you always want to do what you're doing well, but there's these kids who do not deserve to be separated. And so there's kind of always this battle of, can I do what is being presented to me? And so there is a lot of support, but one thing I've noticed, so once I started meeting other foster moms, a huge need of mine began to be met. I was being heard by fellow foster moms, our frustrations, support, someone who actually understood everything that was going on, because you talk to all your friends around you who don't understand, and it's just kind of, it's going right over their head, and you can't really go to social workers because they've got their own big long list of things that they have to do. But something that I've noticed is that foster moms now are trying to fill the emotional and physical needs of other foster moms, and it's kind of become this unbearable load of, while I can support you and while you can support me, it's also not our job to be taking it all, And so I think something that I would like to see addressed more is this awareness. There's so many people who want to help but have no idea how to help. They don't know what the needs are, and that's how I felt coming into it. I was I had no idea. And here all these years, I could have been helping somehow, and I wanted to help, but again, I didn't know that there was a need. And so yeah, I think that's just something that we're trying collectively to get out there, is going foster moms can't be the only people helping foster moms. There's a lot of people out there and who want to help, and this information needs to get out to them, because I think that this can become much more sustainable once we've got the backs of all Idahoans, this is something that we all care about. but not everyone can foster, but there's a lot of people who can help take the burdens off and help those who do foster keep going and go the extra mile for these kids, because they do deserve it. But it's a lot of work because, yeah, it's not just the appointments and all the things you have to do. These are kids with a lot of trauma. These are kids with a lot of behaviors, and they take a lot. And they're beautiful, but it's a lot of, we're only human. And so, yeah, anyways, I'm really grateful to be here. Thank you.
I think that just goes back to it takes a village, like all of us. You don't have to be a foster parent to be involved in foster care. You have people like even Boise Angels who come along and partner with foster families. And, I got meals delivered when I just got a sibling set of 3 sisters, and I had Julie set up a meal train for me, and I had meals coming to my house. And I'm like, that is just a simple way you can cook a meal for a foster family. A lot of times we do it when people have infants, but we don't think about when someone takes on 3 extra kids, making it 8. Yes. It can be a lot to adjust to. So thank you, Tanisha. And then we have Julie and Gabe, and they will tell us all about our long-standing foster parents.
Hello, everybody. So I'm Julie Madronis, my husband Gabriel. And do you want to tell a story about how we got started?
So we've been foster parents for 11 years, going on 12, 4 here in Idaho and the rest in a different state. And we just became aware of a need in our own community 11, 12 years ago, in that, at some point in our lives, we were found in a difficult circumstance where, we might have been on the other end of the foster care system. And so as we had grown and matured in various ways, we just found a need, and we just thought, like, well, that could have been us, so maybe there's a way we can help. And so at the time, we already had 4 children, and I think we still had 1 in diapers. So we didn't know if we could do it, but we didn't know if we couldn't either. So we, started doing foster care, and so I think we've fostered probably about 30 children up to this point now. And we have 3 beautiful adoptions out of our fostering journey, and just a lot of great stories, and tears, joy, and everything that comes with foster care. And so
I just wanted to share a little bit about our experience here in Idaho the last 4 years. Just as the ladies were saying here, I think the awareness that we want to share is we need other moms, we need family, we need community, we need support. We've been blessed with this great house church who's come alongside us, come alongside the biological parents and the children, moved them in their home, provided a place for them to live rent-free, given them vehicles, like just over and beyond here in Idaho. And so I'm truly grateful for that. But when you go out and people say, oh, I can never do that, but they could do something. And so how do we share? You could take a meal, or you can give her a gas card, or you could take the kids on a play date, or, drop them off at Urban Air. Like, there's just so many little things that I think people don't realize they could help. And when we get the baby and it's, 10 o'clock at night and we're not thinking, everybody's calling, like, what could we do? And we don't even know what to say, because it's just like, oh my goodness, we have a baby. Or, I'm in the NICU for 2 weeks with the baby, and my kids are home with my husband while he's trying to work. And it's like, can we help? Well, yeah, what do you need? I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. So just getting the word out that we need support, we need friends, we need family, we need someone that we could just vent to and not be judged. Because we love these kids like our own, and they're not our own. I mean, they may be one day, but they're not. And so, and we are just so, at a place in our life where we want to not only foster the child, but foster the family that they come from. And so that has been just another great part of our journey here in Idaho, is just the willingness for the department to, have meetings for us to meet the parents, and do visitation and transportation, supervise the visit so we can get to know the family. Because I've learned that if I don't meet them soon, then I have this false narrative of who they may be, and they're human and they made a mistake, or they're in a bad situation. And so I just have to meet them, share my heart with them, hear their heart, and just kind of know like, wow, she needs support, dad needs support, they need a family. And so we just want to be that family. And as the ladies were sharing, I'm a stay-at-home mom. So one of the needs that we found was when they get their babies back, there's no place for them to take them, or the daycares are full and they have to go back to work. And so we opened up an in-home daycare to be able to keep the kids in our care, which I think I'm blessed by that because they still come to my house. But we're limited. I have 5 at home, and so I'm only allowed 1 more. So then I'm like tapped out. So then what do I do now? So if anybody has any suggestions or like assistance or something, we would just love to have our home available for if Kate has to go to the doctor, she could just drop off a couple kids at my house and play because we're just playing anyways. But yeah, there's a lot of, it's been a wonderful experience here in Idaho through the sadness. And I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be in relation with these ladies. They're doing amazing things, and we're like all at max capacity. So if anybody has a heart to foster, please just contact us because there's definitely a need.
Yeah, I do also want to make mention, if there's one thing previous in the other state, versus here, that was really helpful there, is they had like a respite program, more formalized. So it was a nonprofit organization, and so what they would do is they'd partner with people and background checks and all that stuff, and would be able to. So we would be able to get like 10 to 15 hours additional to help support our needs. So if we need to take our own children, to doctor's appointments or whatnot, then they can come into our home and kind of babysit, right? And so what we found was great about that is we met some phenomenal people. And so the great thing for them is they were meeting foster parents. And so as they kind of lived life with us, they were just encouraged to be able to possibly think about, wow, they can probably do this too one day. And so you almost have like planting a seed of potential foster parents also, coming as they, mature and think about, getting involved as well. So it was just such a great program. And so if anything, I think, that's probably worthy of a look. Yeah.
Well, as you can see, like when you dip your toe into foster care, you kind of end up taking a full dive in. You can't really just kind of do foster, you got to fully do it. But I would add, I have 8 right now, and I got a call earlier this week to take 2 more. And I called my license worker. I'm like, I know I'm only allowed 8. Can I take 2 more? She's like, no. But in my heart, I just want to help. I want to be able to. I'm like, if I can bring him, if I have room in my house, in my car, I want to do what I can. So there's one thing I think, like sometimes they max you out. And I think maybe taking in consideration the family and how, well they're doing with the kids in their home and saying, okay, well, hey, this person is willing to take more temporarily. It was a respite situation, but maybe even looking at things like that and allowing, if you have a bigger capacity, to allow more. But another thing I was going to address, because you said it really well, Julie, is when I signed up to foster, I thought I was going to help a child. I did not even consider the fact that I was going to be bonding with these bio families. And I think that has been such an honor in my life, is getting to come alongside these families and support them as they work hard to get their kids back. My first daughter I had for 6 months. The day she went home, the mom told me, thank you for showing me how to love my daughter. Because I saw you love her, it made me want to love her. And I realized, I'm like, that was my purpose in their life, is that. And, sometimes kids go home and reunify, and it's beautiful and wonderful. Sometimes kids stay forever. And I've adopted my 5 children that I have now who are siblings. But I have a beautiful relationship with their extended family. And I think foster care is so much more than just about the children, which it is about the children, but it's about families as a whole and coming alongside them and working with them. I did want to, I know we've talked about this, I think you guys have experienced this, just kind of how our caseworkers are overworked.
Oh, yes.
And, they're amazing. I honestly, every caseworker I've worked with has been phenomenal, and obviously do what they can and go above and beyond also. But just thinking of ideas, I think there's something that I think would be beneficial maybe to the department and us as foster parents, is maybe utilizing foster parents a little more. Sometimes I will get calls for placements, and I can't take them. And so I will then call all the foster parents I know or contact them and just come alongside health and welfare to assist them in finding the right home, because I do know a lot of foster families, and I could say, hey, I know this child could fit there, or this child would be great in this home. And so I think maybe if the department could utilize us a little more, I think would be amazing.
As if we don't have enough tasks, we will take that on as well, though, because that, I mean, ultimately that is what we do. I feel like it's just this mountain of things that are constantly growing, but we face it head on. And that, I just feel like that's what we do. And we don't complain. We may vent to each other. I feel like we've built this great community amongst ourselves, and there's several others of us that have just really come together, and we've created like dinner dates for just mom and dad, or just like foster mom events, or events for our whole entire family. And so I feel like that gives us a chance to really kind of maybe diffuse a little bit, and our children as well, because, you know, when you have 8 children in your home, 8 children, 5 children, 8 children, I'm sure, you know, all the different personalities, all the different, what's another word for attitudes, but it's just, you know, everybody needs to have an outside connection. And so I feel like that really helps us. And like she said, being able to call, you know, if we knew of a child that may be coming into care, and I know somebody who may be available to fit this child's needs, might be a little bit quicker than who gets the calls in the middle of the night? The workers, the safety assessor, who basically just goes off of a list that they have, one by one by one, just calling to say like, hey, we have this child that just came into care. We know nothing about him or her. Can you take this placement? And one by one by one by one is how that goes. And just, you know, even if just one of us was a point of contact, let's say Kate, and she knew, you know, a wide variety of different foster families, like, I know this child that just came into care is scared of dogs, so I'm not going to call, you know, all these friends that have dogs, but I may call them because I know they have availability. It might just be get that job done a lot quicker.
Well, like I said, I got called in the middle of the night the other night, and she called me back to tell me that she had found I was sick, and so I couldn't take them. And I, you know, it hurts your heart so bad to say no, but I was like, I really can't take them. And so she called me back to tell me she had found a home, but that I was only one of 2 people that answered the phone out of 60 numbers. And I just thought, well, I wonder if they did utilize us. And I called my friend Nicole here. She's going to answer the phone because she knows me. And then once I tell her, she's not going to say no, because that's just how we are. We say yes when we can. So I think also it comes back to, we talked about the reimbursement rates, and like if the reimbursement rate was higher, now don't get me wrong, we would do it without it, but how much more can we do when we have a higher reimbursement rate? I think then they could utilize us a little more, because we wouldn't be working full-time jobs.
Or like the housing situation.
Yeah.
So like right now, and this is no one's fault, but it's just, this is the predicament that a lot of us are in. I've got children being piled on top of children because we can't afford to move to a house with more rooms. You know, it's like we can't afford, because we're on that one income, you know, we can't afford a bigger van. So we get stuck where I go, well, maybe my heart wants more kids, but I literally don't have the room to transport. I don't have the room to house, you know, and so you're kind of in this situation of, again, wanting to help, but physically not being able to. And it kind of goes against like the rules that the state has. You know, it's like you can't really have kids, is it 6? 6. Different genders in different rooms if they're 6 and up, and you go like, what do I do? You know, it's like, well, I want to take her, but I've only got boys, or, you know, and then these rules start getting bent that shouldn't be bent. But we're all desperate, right? Like the state needs a home for the children to go to, and we've got the homes, but we can't do more because our hands are tied, because we actually don't have like the finances, because I quit my job to do this. Right. You know, it's just an unfortunate thing that I don't know how to solve, but it could be up for discussion on. We've got all these foster moms who can do more, but are limited.
Very much so. Like, we drive 2 vehicles everywhere we have to go right now, because we are a family of 10. And the biggest vehicle besides a 12 or 15 passenger van is an Expedition, which is what we have, which is an 8-seater, but that still leaves 2. So right now we just drive 2 vehicles. not ideal. Yeah, not exactly.
And also, just so you know, a 12-passenger van is hard to come by in Boise, apparently. So I had to rent one. So, because I've been in the market, there's one I found a dealership and they're bringing it in. But anyways, I had to rent one because I have 8 kids and I don't have the space for 8 kids in my Honda Odyssey. So,
Ladies need a teen that drives.
Yeah.
that's what Well, we just want to thank you guys for listening to us, and we appreciate it.
Say one more thing.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. One thing I just wanted to just I'm encouraged by, and just want to just say this while I have the podium, is that we were encouraged by our social worker to partner with single moms and whatnot, and these families. And so at first, for me, I was a little reluctant because of just safety concerns or what that was going to look like. But as we took that step of like really partnering and getting to know these people, and so just wanted to say, I think we need more of that. We need more encouragement, just as a broad perspective to help support these families, because once they go home, not only there's going to be challenges there, and we want to be an additional resource for those that can be. But also, I think for ourselves, it helps heal our hearts, because we can still do life and relationship. So in the audience today is one of those families, and so they came here to support us, and so they're like pseudo grandkids to us, and so it's just been an encouragement here, specifically in Idaho. So I just want to just kind of lift that up, what you guys are doing really right, and so to just get that even more righter. So. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think you guys are such a great example of that. So, again, we just want to say thank you for everybody who's working to make changes in the foster care world here locally and even nationally, but we just appreciate it, and we love what we do. We love the children coming into our homes. We feel very honored that we get to be a part of their lives and watch them change right in front of our faces. So, thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.